What's going on, everybody? We're back. We're live. Uh-oh. I can hear a echo from your computer all the way to the other side of the house.
Yeah, you need to go close the doors.
I told you. You're going to have to entertain everybody for a second.
Leave the dogs where they go. There's nobody even in here. How do you see if there's anybody on here? How do you see who's watching? I don't know what to say. We're waiting for our host. I told him to leave the doors open, and now he has to close them.
Danny says, keep the doors open so the dogs can.
Because he kicks the dogs out,
and then
the
second you leave the doors open,
they get upset. I only have 3.
Okay. Well,
what are we talking
welcome
about?
to.
Because I had said what I wanted to talk about, and you said
we can talk about what you want to talk about as well.
No,
okay.
Not what I just said 5 seconds ago. What I said yesterday.
No, I'm aware of what you said yesterday. All right. So talking more about gym stuff today. That was a very awkward start to our show, but that's okay. Yeah. So the main topic we're going to go, because I think there's a lot more discussion that can be had here. Hobby gyms versus a gym that's going to support your lifestyle, help you make a career out of it, all that. There's obviously a big difference there. And when I say hobby gyms, I'm just kind of defining them as you might have the ability or the money or the connections to start a box. It could be just in your garage. It could be, a small little warehouse space, whatever, but you're not relying on it to make a living. So you might have a second job or maybe you just don't know better and you're running your gym like a hobby gym, like we'll kind of define instead of a business and maximize what you could do. And then the other topic that Danny wanted to bring up today is whether you should affiliate your gym or not. So if you have a functional training gym and, whether that CrossFit name, go ahead.
Not so much that. I think I wanted to more address the gyms that are like always de-affiliating and why they might be doing that and how dumb I think it is.
How dumb it is to de-affiliate?
In my opinion. But not so much like to do it or not. Obviously, we're pro affiliation, having 5 affiliations. But why maybe not? Or why people are undoing it,
There's probably, it's a number of reasons. I'd be interested to hear you speculate. Before that, Gus, what's happening? Hobby gym, is it the assertion that a hobby gym can't be a real business? Yeah, for the most part. And I think some people who think they're running businesses might also be running hobby gyms where they're just not doing the things they need. And it might work out for a short amount of time. And then things start to go wrong, which we'll get into soon. And then because you haven't run it like a business, it's harder to fix. But yeah, I mean, you could have a hobby gym that has a bunch of members and makes money, but it, whatever. It might be hard to sell. There's other things going on. Kenneth, what's up? Hobby gym equals side hustle, possibly. Yeah, pretty much. That's kind of what we're saying here. And also from Kenneth, he did a bunch of unsubscribing yesterday to channels, and we made the cut. So we continue to be subscribed to by Kenneth. So that's pretty cool.
That's good.
I know. I didn't realize we were putting that much value into the world. Craig, what's happening? Sarah, hello. Marat. All right. Yeah, passion project. Okay, so the first topic here, unless you want to go into the affiliation or not, I figure the running the gyms, how you want to run them in terms of like policies, relationships, things like that might be a good place to start. And then you could dive into the affiliation conundrum. Where do you want to start?
I don't know. I don't care. Just start. You love to talk, so just start talking.
You want to do a show with me,
but
you don't want to contribute.
Do a show with you.
You want to take over this whole channel.
Yes, I want my own show. And you would not be on.
You can have your own show. You can have your own show whenever you want. You also said you want to talk about. You also said you want to talk about the debate. You still want to do that?
No.
Okay.
I just want to talk about the memes. I don't watch the debate. Don't tell these people I watch the debate. I do not watch the debate. I watch the memes that come out of the debate. Thanks to my friend Jess.
Fair enough.
Hi, Jess, if you're watching. Thanks for the memes.
Okay. So let's start with to affiliate or not to affiliate, or the de-affiliation problem that we're seeing. Basically, you know, in my personal opinion, you know, we have 5 gyms, active gyms right now. Every one of them, we have paid the new affiliation fee for the $4,500. So it hit us harder. Well, some of them.
We
most
got
of them,
lucky with some of them charging at the end of 2023, so we haven't paid it yet. But what I appreciate by CrossFit is now, I think the auto is now, when your affiliation auto renews, I think it just goes to a monthly charge. So you pay like $375 a month instead of getting hit with, what did we pay before? 3,000 or something, or 30? I don't even remember
what it was 3,000. Now it's 4,500 a year.
Gave you a monthly option before, so you like just get hit with this huge bill whenever, and that was like, I hated when that came around. But like the monthly is just like whatever, you just pay it. So that has been nicer. So I'll give them that. Obviously, nobody wanted their affiliation to go up. I do agree that you're not really getting anything from CrossFit for paying the affiliation. Obviously, besides like the name, like they're not helping us. I don't think they are. I know they tried making that what's that, like the portal that I've never logged into? I'm sure you haven't.
Yeah.
There's like some.
I haven't.
Have you looked at that?
I know what's in there. I've
like discounts.
Gone over like oh, we're still there. I'm losing my service here.
Just froze.
They offer. They offer that partial credit to like level 2s or whatever, to make sure, or maybe level 1s as well, to make sure that you're keeping in good standing, because you have to be a level 2 now to own an affiliate.
Well, yeah. So you get $500 a year to either a level 1 or a level 2. I did ask them if you could use use it for your level 3, and they said no. Because Seth had his level 3 like 10 years ago, and then he let it expire because he's a boy. So he doesn't have his level 3.
No, hang on. I was one of like the first 300 people ever to pass a level 3 test. Okay. They used to number it. And back then you had to keep all these, just like, what's that?
Click what he just said, what Marat just said. That's interesting.
Hang on. I'll bring it up in a second. So back then, I'm defending myself because you're coming at me. You had to have all these CEUs, which you still have to have, but there was no online courses back then. You had to travel around to all these seminars, pay all this money to get enough CEUs to keep your level 3 established. There's no way I was going to do that. And it wasn't bringing me any extra value back then. So I let it go. But now it's much easier to get your credits if you want your level 3. Much, much easier to keep your credits and stay in good standing.
I had my level 3 for like, I must be coming up on like 9 years now.
No.
Yeah,
because I renewed
9 years. 2020.
It's every 3, not every 5.
Yeah. So when did I get it? 2016. What year is it?
2024.
Yeah, I have to renew it next year. 2025 is coming. Be my 3rd renewal thing. Thank you.
Okay. Fair enough.
Anyways, I have done the CEUs, and they're super annoying. And the courses, like the online courses, I find literally no value in them, but it's better than me sitting through a weekend seminar. That's just me. I hate those things. That's just my problem. But anyways,
that is just your problem.
Back to what I was saying.
Okay.
They give me $500 to get your level 1 or level 2, and they would not let me apply it to your level 3. But that's interesting what he's saying about the affiliation fee, that I didn't even know you could pay monthly. That's annoying that they would. That's probably why no one pays monthly.
Interesting. Before. So yeah, interesting. I think you could have emailed them and asked even before the 20% surcharge on that, and they would probably work with you if you had special circumstances. Because I will say, throughout the years, if there was something that came up, HQ didn't want to lose you, and they still don't want to lose you as an affiliate, and they would bend their rules for you and make it work if they were going to get their money still. So they were actually quite flexible in some situations in the past. Okay, so the value in having the affiliation itself, I mean, obviously we find it valuable because we are affiliated at all 5 gyms. And would you ever consider de-affiliating, or what would be the thing that may make you consider de-affiliating, noting that you just said they don't give you anything for your money other than the CrossFit name? What kind of stuff?
The de-affiliation thing became a thing when all the Greg Glassman stuff started happening. And I think we were in our Florida gym at that point, and we had, kind of the more outspoken members who were like, if you don't de-affiliate, like, we're leaving, blah, blah. And we're just like, hold on. Like, we don't agree with what he said, but just give it 5 seconds to just see. So you have all these gyms de-affiliating. And
well, hang on. I may have agreed with what he said, but continue. I agree with everything he says.
I don't even remember what he said.
Yeah, anyway,
the point is,
fair enough.
Like, I literally couldn't even tell you what that was all about, but everyone's coming at us being like, de-affiliate or we're leaving. But the thing is, like, when you become just like an XFit or like a high intensity like training gym, like you have like no like clout anymore. Like there's so many of those like training studios kind of all over the place, but then there's like what kind of methodology are they promoting? What kind of certification do their staff have? I bet a lot of them are just like have like random personal training certifications that you can get, you know, online. And it doesn't mean to say that like the CrossFit level 1 means that you're some like elite level coach or that you even necessarily should be coaching at all, but it means that you're generally have like the same idea of, yeah, just the methodology and what you're going to get when you walk into a CrossFit gym is generally, I've been to some weird CrossFit gyms, but it's generally, you know what you're getting.
Yeah. It's pointing the coach in the right direction at the bare minimum. So, okay. So with the affiliation, you feel like, but do you feel like the average person out in the street who's looking to get in shape knows to look up CrossFit or would know the difference between like, you know, whatever functional training studio and a CrossFit gym? Like, are they saying, oh, these people have their level 1s and level 2s, or these people don't, so one's better than the other? I don't think 90 whatever % of the population would even know to think about that sort of thing or what level the credentials are. Like, have you ever been asked, what are your credentials for training? Like, have you ever been put on the spot by someone coming in to check out a gym?
Probably, but I think it's more like even just when people are searching for gyms, like people, you know, CrossFit's more of like a word of mouth thing. People are going to search for the nearest CrossFit gym. And I just think when you like CrossFit, again, it's the brand, you're paying for use of the brand, obviously. But so when people like don't know what they're searching for and they just type in gym, there's just too many, like you need something to kind of explain what you are, if that makes sense. That's why I like to keep the affiliation.
But also, I would say in some people's minds, they have been misled as to what CrossFit is and what it represents. And I think CrossFit is actually a turnoff to some people, unfortunately, because they misunderstand what it is, or they had a bad experience at an earlier CrossFit gym or whatever. But I actually think it can be a detriment to some people who are looking to get in shape. Oh, I can't do CrossFit, or I would never do CrossFit, or my doctor tells me not to do CrossFit.
Wait, what did that lady say to us the other day?
I'm medically unable to do CrossFit.
Your service isn't working, but mine is.
Well, we're on the same internet, and yours is choppy as well. So our internet is having issues today. She said she was medically unable to do CrossFit.
Yeah, and I said, oh, well, we also have like high intensity interval training classes. And she goes, oh, okay, I can do those. And I was just like, I lost it. That was funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just people have a certain idea of what CrossFit is, whether they have experienced it before or not, or been told whatever it is or not. Anyway, so for me, the name goes both ways. It cuts both ways. It's very helpful when someone's looking for a CrossFit gym. It puts you right at the top of the list compared to other gyms in the area, which is great because we want people who want to do CrossFit. It makes it much easier for us to do our job and advance people versus people who you have to convince to do CrossFit, and they're pushing back on you the whole time, and they're like, not that there's an issue with questioning what you're doing, but they're not super go with the flow with it. So I think that the CrossFit name can cut both ways. I like it because it's what I stand for, and that's, you know, I'm totally biased towards that, and so that's what I want my business to be. But other than the CrossFit name,
I know that CrossFit as a phrase is scary to a lot of people. I get that, but if we were like, someone typed in there, like if we were just Jump Ship Fitness, you have no idea what you're getting. You have no idea what that is. You have no like if we just popped up on a map. And I think that's why I'm so like against the de-affiliation, at least like for people who are looking for CrossFit or not looking for CrossFit, they know what they're getting. If they come to one of our gyms, that's just what they're getting. So I feel like it's just very weird for all these gyms to be dropping, like Jump Ship Fitness could be a spin studio. It could be a yoga studio. It could be like, what is that? You know? So I feel like it makes it very hard for a customer to determine what that even means, you know?
Yeah. It makes the gym undefined. But a lot of customers or some. I don't know. I don't know what the number is. I'm getting this different experience at this gym up in the North Shore because people are, it's not advertised openly as a CrossFit affiliate, even though it is. It's a whole fitness club. It offers a whole bunch of things, but people ask a lot of questions when they come in, and I meet with people every day at that place who are interested in joining, and people don't even know what they want to do. They're coming in the gym and I'm like, oh, what kind of stuff do you do for exercise? I don't know. I go for walks, or I used to go to the gym. What gym? Just a regular gym. Like, they don't even understand there's a difference between exercise methodology. And so they're looking for you to guide them in that right way. So in that way, they could walk into any gym and have that same conversation. They're not going to know any better. But I guess, like, what value is it to a gym who has, let's say it was a CrossFit gym and they have 300-400 members, they're absolutely killing it, and they decide, you know what, I'm dropping the CrossFit name. We're just whatever fit now. Do you think that they're losing out or missing something by dropping that name? Is that going to hurt them long term, or are they established enough with a community that it doesn't matter anymore?
Yeah, I guess it feels, the cringe factor to me just like bothers me, because then you're like,
what's the cringe factor? What's that mean?
You're like doing CrossFit, you built your business up with the use of CrossFit name, like you're using the full methodology. Your staff is probably like level 1, level 2, whatever. Like, if they drop their affiliation, do they still require their coaches to maintain some level of certification? And are they sending them to like level 1, level 2 for certification? Or are they just like, now that I have a fly, they're just like, oh, we're just whatever fit now. You don't need to have any certs to work here as of today because we dropped our affiliation. Like, it's just weird. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what changes they're going to make to their practices if they drop the name, but if they just don't want to pay the $4,500 and they want everything else to be the same, they could do that. And I'm not sure what the argument would be to keep the name, other than the fact that people like it, they want to participate in the open. They want to be some people want to be associated with the brand, but I don't know that if you just drop the name that everyone just leaves. Yeah.
I get so annoyed when these gyms like drop their affiliation and then they still put on this like whole big like open thing. It's like, no, you don't get to play anymore. Like, I wish that like CrossFit wouldn't let them like play. Like, that's so annoying to me.
So like you want to kind of gatekeep all the fun that goes to CrossFit. If you're not paying the affiliation, you don't get any of the CrossFit fun, even though the methodology is totally out there, free to take and use and do whatever. You just, if you're not paying to affiliate with the brand, in your opinion, they shouldn't get any of the fun that comes with the actual CrossFit name.
No fun.
Okay.
Pay or no fun.
So if a gym was starting up, we had our talk about buying or starting a gym last week. If a gym was starting up, would you recommend, right, if it was going to use, basically do CrossFit, would you recommend that they pay that money to begin to use the CrossFit name for promotion or whatever else? Or would you say that, it's something they could do down the road if they had more revenue coming in? Or I mean, how important is it to start with the CrossFit name?
We just did that. We just had that discussion at the Lahaina gym because we were going to like wait for a minute just because it was such a big upfront cost, the $4,500. And I didn't even know at that point, because this was in December, January, February. So I didn't even know that it was going to be like a monthly option. I was just like, we need to pay another, almost $5,000 after we just got all this equipment. We obviously have no members. Like, it was just like a lot, right? So we weren't going to affiliate, but then I found out that it was the $375 a month, and we did so before opening. And I think it's the right move for us anyway. I don't know.
Eddie, oh wait, yeah, I'm having issues today. Eddie Simpson, wish CrossFit would not have tried to change the way they are branded. The brand was better when people wanted the sport version. Interesting thought. It's funny because there's a lot of debate right now, and we'll get into our main topic here in a second, but there's a lot of debate recently about what would happen to affiliates if the games got dropped based on the incident from this year and just kind of the downward trend of some of the aspects of the games. Like, if the games went away and they just cut them all together, what would happen to affiliates? Some people say, oh, that would be the end of CrossFit. People would stop showing up. People wouldn't care. And other people say, my gyms wouldn't change one bit. Everything would continue on, and just we'd have one less thing to do. We'd do our own open or competition and keep things moving. What do you think would happen if the sports side of CrossFit went away?
I don't know. It's definitely interesting. Like, I I competed for, 5 or so years. So I love the CrossFit Games. I think it's great. I think it's fun. But like, I don't think that the CrossFit Games, and certainly not like the games athletes, I don't think they provide anything to the affiliates. So it's like you have these, I don't know how many people make the games, but 200 people who make the games every year that are kind of sometimes like the loudmouths of just different stuff. But it's like, I don't even know if like what percentage of them even coach classes or know how to coach classes or care about the other, I don't know, million people who do CrossFit around the world. Like,
well, these days it's a lot less. It used to be a lot more because every games athlete was coming out of their own affiliate, basically.
right.
And now you just have athletes who are training wherever at camps or bouncing around gyms or training, on their own. And they're just doing it as like, I mean, some of them try to make it professional, but yeah,
That's
I mean,
a
in
whole
terms of
topic of things that are like kind of weird with just CrossFit in general is like how much focus I think the games and even sometimes the games athletes get over like what's being provided to the affiliates and the actual everyday people that do CrossFit and need CrossFit for their health and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think that's a big frustration from affiliate owners who don't give two shits about the games. But, in my opinion, if the games went away, I would be bummed because it's been such a big part of my life for a long time and a big part of my business. But it wouldn't change what I'm doing. I would still offer, the online program to get people super fit because people still want to train. There's still going to be if the games go, there's still competitions going on.
If it would change like the success of CrossFit affiliates, which like I actually like don't know. Like, is it? I don't think it would. I think just from a marketing standpoint, well, maybe I don't even know. Maybe the CrossFit Games hurts why people don't want to come into CrossFit gyms because it's like looks scary. I have no idea. Because I've had conversations over the years. People come in and go, "Oh, I saw this on TV. Like, I'm not doing that." And I'm like, "No, you're not doing that. Like, you're not doing anything like that."
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I can count on one hand how many athletes over the years I've had walk into a gym who wanted to check out one of my gyms and say to me, I saw this, I want to make the CrossFit Games. Literally less than 5 ever. And then that doesn't mean that they didn't find it on YouTube and then look into it more and then join your gym and never talk about it because they knew they weren't going to the games. So maybe there's some outside influence on that. But for the most part, people are like, oh shit, I need to get in shape. And this was a gym local to them, or their friend suggested it, or their family member brought them in. And that's kind of what grows the gym. And so like people who are worried that the games, if they went away, would essentially kill the last, leg of marketing that HQ has. I don't think that's true because there are so many people now around the world who have done CrossFit, who are doing CrossFit, that are the ones that are bringing the people into your local gym. I just don't think people are walking in because they watch the games on YouTube all that often, the way that people say that they are. I think that it's just a big community base for fitness, and people are coming in based on the fact that they need to either get in shape or their friend told them to come to the gym because it's so much fun. And that's how I think we've gotten the vast, vast majority of our members at all our locations. Did you hear anything I just said?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Moving on.
Someone's asking questions. I'm trying to run our gyms. You don't do that.
Oh, you mean not the chat. You mean people are emailing you about the gyms. Okay. Yeah. Stand by. All right. All right. I'm so sorry to keep you, ma'am. Let's go with it. Let's go into our last topic for the day. We can go down any road you want with this. So that was the hobby gym versus the sustainable business. And when I think about the two gyms, I think about it in terms of, how, what your business practices are and setting them up from the start to make sure you have policies in place, you have strategies, you budget things, you plan for whatever. You have other income sources within the gym that's not just memberships, just planning on how you're going to weather the inevitable ups and downs of membership at your affiliate. And I think hobby gyms are somebody, like I kind of said earlier, they have the means to start one, whether it's in their garage or a small industrial space or whatever it is. And they just really love CrossFit. It's a passion project for them. They always wanted to open a gym, so they open it. And they don't think about all the aspects that go into it. And then inevitably something happens down the road. Either it's a slow trickle of members who are just not into the vibe of the gym because enough's not being put into it and it closes, or if there's an incident that happens or whatever. But in terms of your first gym, you open your first gym, you dropped out of college basically to open your first gym. What were some of the things you were thinking about to make sure that your gym was set up in a way that was going to be sustainable for you long term?
Jeez, that's a loaded question.
Or what mistakes did you make then that you figured out now might be easier for you with all your experience now? So what things didn't you do then that you wish you did now? That might be easier.
Well, kind of what we talked about last week. If I probably should have tried to buy a gym. Honestly, I was 20 years old. I literally dropped out of college. So this was like, I was putting everything into this. I was like, I got to go figure it out. But yeah, I think, you know what actually saved me big time on that gym? The gym was like shaped like an L, and like the main floor space was like, what was it? Like a car, it was like an old car repair shop. So it was like it was like awesome space. And then their little backside had like a little other, we used it like kind of like a weightlifting room. But above that, there was a 3-bedroom apartment. So I just rented the entire building. So I had a place to live that was being paid for by rent for my actual gym. So if I didn't have that, I don't know what I would have done. Like, where would I have lived? Not to mention, I could wake up like 5 minutes before class, and I would just like roll down the stairs, like not even awake. I would just walk down the stairs from like the back room, walked right down into the gym space. So I would just walk down like literally half asleep, and then I would be able to just kind of start class, which was like freaking awesome. That was so great.
I mean, if you have your stuff planned and your class is good to go, that's great. If you do that and if you're just winging it and you don't have experience, there you might be lacking professionalism in that sense. But
they were used to it. They just knew they would just stand outside and just wait for me to like come downstairs to open up the doors.
Oh my goodness! And how old were you then?
Awesome. 20.
20. Okay, so these days, would you recommend? Would you recommend the coaches show up 5 minutes before your class, half asleep, and open the gym for the members?
No, but this was also, I feel like things were just more lax like 10 years ago. Like you could just like, it was just like more chill. Like, you know,
that might be fair. Yeah. Things were definitely, so things are now more competitive, and you have to have sort of a certain standard set to be able to compete with other gyms. Otherwise, if you give someone a bad taste in their mouth because they don't like the way something's working, they have more options. Back then, there were a lot less CrossFit gyms, a lot less available. And so if that's what you wanted to do, you would just kind of do it. Yeah, I think there's been a level up in what professionalism should look like in different gyms. And I think that would be part of it. In terms of like hobby versus business, though, there are like a couple things that we really do. I think that, I think a lot of gyms do it, but things that would really set you up for success longer term. And one of those things is like creating policies. So we have membership policies in place. I mean, they're different from gym to gym, just because of certain demographics, certain ways we handle that business. Each business is its own unique thing. And while we do something similar from gym to gym, we also have to change some things based on whatever we run into. But anyway, having policies in place and sticking to them, which can be massively challenging for a lot of gym owners. So just a basic example would be if you had a cancellation policy at your gym. Some people let you cancel like right up to the last day before they get billed. Some people have 2 weeks. Some people have a month. Some gyms have contracts where you're locked in for 3, 6, 9, 12 months, whatever. I think it's kind of interesting to see the amount of emails that come in across all the locations we have. And Danny can speak to this way better than I can, because to basic policy.
You're frozen.
Am I back? I know I just cut out again. Am I back?
Yeah.
Okay. People don't want to adhere to basic gym policies, and then they get upset when you enforce them, and then there's like a back and forth. You want to talk about some of the ways you handle members who are upset about whatever?
Jeez.
Well, you don't have to name names. I just think it's important that people know, like, when you put rules in place at a business, you need to stick to the rules. If you bend the rules for every single person, they'll bend you broke, basically.
We have a 2-week cancellation policy, which I think is more than fair. I would say the majority of CrossFits and then even just like global gyms are like a 30-day or like a month cancellation policy. Like if you walk in the day before to cancel at Planet Fitness, like you're not canceling, and then you're probably not canceling for 3 more months. Like they're just like, so we have like a 2-week cancellation policy, and the like anger that some people will get over that when it's like, obviously, you know, we tell them when they sign up, they have to sign like the document on Wodify, like whether or not they choose to read through that. But I think for us, like small business, like we're like, I'm always calculating like our bills and our like expenses in like a given calendar month. So when people want to cancel one day before, that kind of just throws off all of kind of like our reporting. So it makes it just kind of impossible if 5 people want to come cancel the day before they're charged. So it seems like a basic policy. It's, you know, told to everybody when they sign up. They sign the online thing and they still don't like it. But I think there's like this like newer thing where like the customer's always right. So it's just like easier to like threaten chargebacks and like kind of go crazy. And then we just lose every time. But I do always try to stick to it and, you know, apologize that they whatever, but they don't care.
Yeah, and on top of that, there's, I mean, that's just like one of the financial policies, but there's other policies in place, like, you know, you have to be responsible for or make a plan for what you're going to do with kids. Some gyms are set up differently, have different sizes, and members want to bring their kids in. You know, you have one member who brings their kids in and you've asked them 3 times to keep them in this one spot, but the kid sprints across the floor with their iPad when YouTube shut off on them in the middle of class.
We're supposed to be talking about hobby gyms, not policies.
I'm talking about the difference between hobby gyms, who people don't
let me tell you my biggest
policies in place, and then they think they're going to run a business, and then it falls apart because they're giving their friends discounts and they're not enforcing.
Okay, that's the one.
Okay.
I think a hobby gym is more likely to get taken advantage of, because anytime you have a hobby gym, I feel like there's a lot of people who are like on trades or like are friends of yours. So like you'd be more likely to let them just come in for free, or maybe they're paying less or paying nothing. And that just like the trickle effect begins of when you start to allow people to like be on trade. I think that's the biggest thing you see in a hobby gym. And then people be like, well, why should I pay? Blah, blah, blah has a full-time job. Like they don't like, they always do they don't need the money kind of thing. And it's like, they just don't think that they need to pay because it's not someone's full-time job. Whereas like we have like a pretty hard, like we don't really let anyone come for free anywhere. Or like, it just makes things like just dicey, you know?
Yeah. Trades can be challenging. Without speaking too specifically, we bought a gym years ago. And when we went through the membership list of the amount of free people and discounted people and everything else, there was no question why they were as upside down at that point as they were. There's probably like 20 or 30 people on free, some sort of trade that those people weren't keeping up their end of the deal at all. There's, you know, the most random prices ever because people were just essentially letting them name their own price to beg people to come into the gym. And boy, was that hard to clean up.
It was random jobs. They would be like, oh, this person's going to clean the wall balls once a month in exchange, like just the randomest shit. Like that, like, there was some weird stuff. There were some weird trade things that were being offered. Weird.
Yeah, and the prices. Remember, we had to like try to get everyone on the same price, and that was like such a battle.
People were paying like $30 a month, and like that was crazy.
Yeah, it was a battle. But anyway, so going back to what I said, just having your prices in place, policies in place, not giving everyone a discount. In fact, we don't even really, we have like a couple gyms that we do discounts. We do military discounts. It's a small discount. And I think if you have enough members of your family there, you start getting a discount too, because that adds up quite a bit. But we don't do like a million discounts all over the place. I know a lot of gyms try to offer that to everybody, and they do like 10, 15% and stuff. We do a small discount just as kind of a gratitude thing. Like, yeah, we appreciate what you're doing. Like, here's your little discount. But those things add up like crazy too. And I think a lot of hobby gyms just will bend over backwards for their members because they're so excited about their gym and their little sanctuary that they want it to do well, but they're actually shooting themselves in the foot long term by not just having very standard rules in place and then enforcing those rules to everybody to make sure that, you know, you can, like she said, keep track of a monthly or bi-weekly budget or whatever it is. With that. What else?
About what?
About this topic. I mean, I just feel like we've seen so many different. So we know of gyms that the owners are putting in multiple thousands of dollars a month to float them, to keep them alive, because
right. So if you're going to have a hobby gym, you need to know that might be your reality. It's going to be very hard. I think it's very hard to find for most CrossFit gyms to find like a full-time manager that cares about the place, that's going to do a good job, and that the gym can afford to pay them a reasonable salary. So that's the other thing, is CrossFit gyms aren't bringing in so much money that you can just like pay full-time, like, you know, really high paid like managers. That's just like not, you know, the reality of it. So I think having, you know, like the in-person or just like owners who are doing just work for the place is pretty important, because otherwise those coaches are just, they're going to leave. They're going to need to make more money. So I feel like if you're going into it with a hobby gym, like you need to be prepared that you're going to need to financially float it, and that you might have a hard time finding staff too.
And you probably have to be even more, if it's just a side hustle or a hobby for you, you need to be even more cautious about what you're getting yourself into in terms of your monthly overhead, your lease, how much equipment you want to spend. Because again, if it's a passion project and you're just so excited about it, it is so easy to take out your credit card and go way overboard on Rogue and buy a whole bunch of things you don't need, because that would be cool, and that would be cool, and that would be cool, and I wanted that, and I've always wanted this. The next thing you know, you're way upside down, and the people aren't coming in as fast as you thought. You can't offer as many classes because you can't afford to pay coaches. And it's just this challenge where these gyms open, they last a year, 18 months, and then they're being sold off for pennies of the dollar, or they're just closing because they can't get it going. Just think there's a lot more work that goes into the professionalism and the ownership side of running an affiliate to make it sustainable. And a lot of people are just missing out on that.
If all of our gyms were hobby gyms, the amount of times that we've gotten the call, either, you know, late at night, someone's sick and can't go in the next morning, or they slept through like 5 a.m. and then you're rushing in there at 5:30 to try to get there for 6. Like that shit happens. If you had, or if like we had, I don't go at 5 a.m., but if we had like 9 to 5 jobs or something, no one just goes today, because like, and I think that's like a thing that like the hobby gym owner is going to run into, because your staff doesn't care, you know, like they don't care as much as an owner would care. And they're not the ones putting $1, $2, $3, $4, $5,000 into the gym every month. So if they need to take a day off, a week off, or they're traveling or whatever, like, what do you do if you have a full-time job?
Yeah. Another thing that this is a little off topic, but kind of in line. Something that I noticed that's happened. I've talked to a lot of people, obviously, in the CrossFit community overall. There are gyms now that have like 8, 10 owners, like a bunch of couples or a bunch of people will all put in a little bit of money and have this gym and open it up. And I always think that's kind of interesting too, because that, in my mind, is a hobby gym, because you can't really ever take enough money out of that to support any of them. Once you have more than, let's say, 3 owners or something, depending on what the rules are, you're not going to make a sustainable income off that one spot. And so like, I always think that's an interesting thing, because inevitably when you have that many people involved, if you don't cross your T's, dot your I's, make contracts, make arrangements, make policies that everyone agrees to early, something always goes wrong. And some of the stories I've heard about owners who become pretty uninvolved or very upset with other owners or whatever, it just creates an issue. So like, if you're going to do a gym and you want to do it with a bunch of people to keep costs down, just make sure you have your stuff in place. Make sure you have a nice contract, operating agreement, meetings, plans, roles and responsibilities, things very well ironed out. That way you can go back to that if someone's not upholding their end, or you have an exit form or whatever else to keep it nice and smooth, because that can end a gym pretty quickly as well.
Those are always great, because then like one of the couples breaks off and then they go open another gym right around the corner.
Oh yeah.
And then the other one gets mad and then they open another one. And then there's like 4 gyms. We know a little situation like that. It's like 4 gyms within like less than a mile of each other. And then they all just go out of business.
And they all sink. Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty crazy. Pretty wild. I mean, and we've become pretty good at, well, I say good, we're just used to having partners now. Having 5 gyms, we realize it's impossible for us to be in 5 places at once. It's impossible for us to run every aspect of every one of those gyms. And so, we have some partners at each of the locations that have their own roles and responsibilities. But before we ever take that on, we sit with them 20 times. carve out everything, carve out roles, carve out, exits if someone needs to get out, things like that, to make sure that, if changes need to be made, they can be made. And that's part of having your business be professional. And if you don't have those things in place, guess what? You want to sell your business, your partners can make it impossible for you to sell. Or even if you own it yourself and you don't run it well, you don't have policies in place, you don't have memberships, then your business is once again impossible to sell. So professionalizing your business in a sense that if you do need to step out for some reason, that you can try to get some of your money back or more than your money back or whatever. The more professional, the more organized, the easier it is to sell and get out of that if that's what you need to do. Hobby gyms,
I think also with
just
partners,
not worth anything.
It doesn't mean you have to be 50-50 partners. So it doesn't mean
Right.
that all of our gyms, we have 50-50 partners. It's not what we do. But like you said, we can't be at all 5 of the locations. And we've kind of toyed back and forth with being okay, do we want to hire a manager to be that kind of in-person point of contact? Or does it make more sense to sell even a small portion of the business and then you have in-person ownership? So then just the community feels like, these people are actually part of the team and that we didn't or aren't not a part of the business, if that makes sense, which I think there's more value in that, because if someone's upset with something, they want to talk to the owners. They don't, so I just think that, and then, you sell a little bit of your business. These people are now, financially invested with you, instead of a manager who, again, could just quit and walk out the door tomorrow and doesn't really care.
Yeah. When they have skin in the game, they'll make better decisions. They'll spend more time on something. They're just invested. It's part of, they own part of it too. And so I think that's really important. And I like doing that with people. I like giving people that, I come to trust opportunities to be an affiliate owner. Not that it's an easy job or not going to make you super rich, but it can make you some money. And a lot of people want the experience. And I like sharing the experience with other people. I think it's fun. Okay. Any last thoughts? We kind of just went down whatever with this show today. I just like getting into conversations here. We'll look at the comments real quick, and then if something else comes up. Murat, if the games went away, something else would take its place. Rogue, Wadapalooza, whatever. The competitiveness won't go away. I agree with that. That's why I'm not worried. I don't want the games to go away, but even if they did, it wouldn't affect the affiliates. It wouldn't even affect competitive training, I don't think, because something else would step up that would take all the attention and people would be getting ready for that. So people are pretty obsessed. Let's put it this way. People are exercise addicts. Competitors are addicted to exercise. They're not going to stop exercising just because the games changed or went away. Everyone says that your setup, by the way, that apartment above the gym is pretty awesome for a 20-year-old.
Dang, so. You have literally no idea. It was so awesome. And I would always coach 5 a.m. And then at 6 a.m., Brady would be standing at the top of the stairs barking because she was ready to come down to see everybody. So then I'd have to go up the stairs, I have to let her down. And then she'd always be so tired and grumpy. And then she'd say hi to everybody. And then she'd lay in her bed in the gym. But it was routine. She would never get up with me when I had to get up at 4:50. I'd coach for 1 hour, and then at 5:55, she's at the top of the stairs, barking. She's like, "Okay, I'm ready."
Every day.
Every day.
And and this is actually an interesting note. When you opened your gym, you were the sole coach. You coached every class for over a year, probably.
I remember there was one little time I didn't like Wadapalooza, but yeah, I was coaching holidays. We were also only doing I think I had 2 morning classes and maybe 1 night class or something when I started. But when I physically opened the doors, we only had 30 members. So I had pre-done signups. We had 30 members, which I was pretty happy with, because that was covering rent and bills basically at that point. But yeah, for about a year, just slugging along. But it was crazy.
And then Gus says you didn't offer 24/7 open gym at that place.
Jeez, I don't even think that existed at that time, which no. I wish it did, right?
It really wasn't a thing in affiliates then at all. Yeah. But that's something we do offer in. Is it every gym now? Does every gym have that now?
No, not Westside.
Oh yeah. 4 out of 5 gyms we have open gym access via an app. Don Neary says he knows a box that has
It's just because there's a lot of homeless kind of people around.
Yeah,
or
it's not. Yeah, logistically, it's not set up right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Don Neary knows a box that needs a 2-month cancellation notice. That's aggressive. I bet they have all kinds of fights with people, unless they're like very annoying about it up front, which we try to be a little bit so people know
People
what they're
don't
getting
listen
into.
though. They just want to
I
sign
know.
up. They scribble their information down and they walk out the door and then they go, "You didn't tell me that." And I'm just like, "What do you? Yes, we did." Like, you know, I was like,
Yeah.
I had this conversation with you. You know, they don't even hear you when they're signing up.
And we make cancellation so easy too. The main email address, all you have to do is send an email to cancel. That's it. That's the one way we do it. And we have a paper trail. All you have to do is send an email. The email is all over the gym. You can see it everywhere. It's like the simplest thing ever. And then people want to say, "Oh, I told this coach 3 weeks ago that I was leaving for a trip." It's like, come on, like, you know how it works. And so, yeah, you get those battles all the time. Don, again, for coaches who coach 1 or 2 classes a week, how would you offer a membership to them? Discounted plus pay, plus I assume he means pay, other. And I think there's a number of ways to do this based on your business. But what's your overall thoughts? I think we hit this last week a little bit.
Yeah, if it's that few, like really 1 or 2, I'd be having them pay a membership and then paying them for every class. For 1 or 2 classes, I probably wouldn't even be doing a discounted membership. That's like too few. And I've found that when the coaches who only coach, call it maybe less than 4 classes a week, they're much more likely to be like, "Oh, I need coverage for this class," or like then you end up like paying double, so to speak, because you're giving them a discounted membership and then you have to pay somebody else to cover it, or you have to step in and cover it. So for somebody who's only doing 1 or 2, I'd be like, "Hey, pay, you know, a full membership," and then say maybe they're getting an extra $2 or $3 an hour over your normal coaching rate for the classes they coach or something like that, to make it just a third time.
That's definitely one way to do it. Yeah, I think honestly, even though we talked about having policies and procedures in place, when you're working with coaches, it can be a little bit case by case based on the need they're feeling for you. Again, when you start stretching things out to like doing trades for maintenance on the rowers once a month or whatever else, like it starts to get really messy and really sticky. And if someone's not holding their end of the deal, you've already given up that paying member and it's hard to get them paying again after that. But with coaches, I think depending on the need they're filling, the value they provide to you and your members, you can go ahead.
That was maybe the smartest thing you've ever said.
Oh.
Once you give someone a free or discounted membership, you are never getting them to pay ever again.
Correct.
That's the smartest thing Seth's ever said since I've known him.
I thought that was obvious.
No, I don't think it is. I think people are just like, "Oh, we'll just do a trade and then you just do this." And then they stop doing that. And it's like so awkward to then be like, "Hey, you know, you're not really doing what we said." And then they're like, "Oh, I'm still doing it," or whatever. Or like if you're doing trade for cleaning, but they're doing a shit job cleaning, then what? Like, you're just going to be like, "Oh, you're not doing what I expected." Well, I'm still cleaning. Like, geez. Seth never asked me to marry him, whoever just said that. We only got married for taxes.
Oh, come on. That's rude. That's rude.
He asked.
Marat says, we pay $25 a class if someone coaches two classes per week. That covers their membership fees. So they get a free membership and don't have to worry about payroll them. Yeah. I mean, that's a fine way to do it. We'd rather pay and have them pay the membership and just have the exchange be that way. Cause again, those people, their kid's sick, they're going on vacation, they're gone. They're not, a lot of them, not all of them, a lot of them are not going to make up that time. They're just going to force you to find coverage or force you to do it yourself. And then you provide that value still to them in the form of free membership. And so you're not getting that back. So they're gaining more from the exchange. So just an even exchange makes it nice and fair and smooth and easy. So that's how we do it most of the time. Also, guys, while we were going through some of these comments, feel free to post more topics, any ideas or topics you want us to cover in the show in the future. We're always looking for more like specific things we can get in instead of just having Danny and I just like kind of ramble back and forth at each other about whatever. So if you guys have specific questions about your gym, coaching, whatever, let us know. We'll hit on them. James O'Rourke, do you guys ever have coaches run in-house seminars for coaching certain skills, movements, and lifts? And what would the pay rate be different for something like this? So yeah, again, it's gym dependent, but yes, we do this we do run seminars and stuff. We run nutrition challenges. We have different coaches take that stuff on. And depending on how we decide to run it, if the seminar is, let's say, we're taking $15 a person for a 2-hour gymnastics seminar or whatever, just make up the number. The coach would probably get a decent piece of that to make it worth their time. And it would probably be more than their hourly rate if they're doing something specialty.
So I think the way that it more kind of works for something like that is if I'm sitting here, like if I'm going to organize the whole thing, promote the whole thing, and then just ask a coach to run it, they're probably just going to get like their hourly pay. Versus if a coach comes to me and is like, hey, I want to put this course on whatever, then that's when we would do some sort of like a pay split. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a fair way to put it too. It just depends on the amount of work that's going into it. So also, like, even if we promote it and put it on, the coach may have to do a little extra preparing ahead of time to get the specific drills down they want to teach and things. So we may offer them slightly more, just knowing that it'll be more work than normal. But yes, for the most part, we will allow coaches to do that. And actually, I wish our coaches took more initiative to do those things at all the locations. I wish all my coaches would come to me and say, hey, I really want to do this. I really want to do that. It's usually us forcing them to do those sorts of things because either they don't feel comfortable, with even pitching the idea to us or whatever. But having a coach that takes initiative is like amazing. Wow.
But that's why hobby gyms don't work, because most of your coaches have other things going on. So they're not, their head isn't, oh, what can I offer the members this month? That's our job. And then we can, reach out to the coaches and be like, hey, who's interested in running this gymnastics course? And then we always have, whoever's like, oh, I'll do it. And then that's kind of how it works. If we were like hobby gym owners where we never kind of put those thoughts out there and never did it, then no, they would never happen.
Right. Yeah. The fact that, okay. One more thing I'll say, and I'll leave it with this, then you can have the closing thoughts if you have it. We have 5 gyms. We say that enough. Each gym needs to be its own like living, breathing entity. You can't pay one with the other. You can't float one with the other. And if you have one gym, you shouldn't be floating the one gym yourself. And so making decisions on the gym based on the business's singular health and focus is going to be the one thing that keeps it sustainable long term. So never relying on the fact that, I make $200K. It's not a problem. If I have a bad month, I can just put some money into it. It's probably the dumbest thing that you can do for a business. You're not helping your members. You're not helping anything out. Trying to make decisions that make that gym a standalone, sustainable, living, breathing thing is the best thing you can do for your community. Even if that means that at some point you have to raise rates, at some point you have to enforce rules, at some point you have to do X, Y, and Z that will make someone unhappy. Having those things in place, having that structure is what's going to allow that gym to survive long term, whether it's a hobby or not. And the more business minded you are about it, the longer the life will be. And frankly, the happier the members will be, because they'll be comfortable with the rules and the standards that you uphold. And that'll be the case. If you go lax, trading out with all your coaches, they're coming in and out, doing whatever, giving discounts, whatever, it's people going to walk all over you. It's not going to last. So any other thing you want to add to this?
Like what Jess said, she's such a suck up.
Oh yeah, Jess. I've been to a lot of gyms, and Jumpship is constantly adding value. New equipment, cold plunge, sauna, competitions, new apparel, and consistently good programming. Well, thank you,
Jess.
I could probably snip that out of this and make a little post with that later on for our gyms. But yeah, I mean,
we're on the website.
And we do that. So like one of our gyms, Kailua, has been a super consistent performer for us since we opened it right after COVID. The community's been getting stronger and stronger. The core of that community is awesome. The people that come in and add to it, basically, I could do a whole story on Kailua itself. It's such an amazing, I don't even know. It's just like a cool case study of what's happened in that place.
I can do a whole story about how Seth didn't want to open that gym. If we want to go down there.
That's true. That's true. I was skeptical, and it's worked out great. And but anyway, this year we were able to put a lot of money in upgrades. New monster rig. There's a cold plunge and sauna upstairs, a new big ass fan. We got new rowers, new all kinds of stuff, because people have been so consistent with us and open to following rules. And we had a price increase, and we put that money right back into the place, and it's going awesome. And I just think, it's important. What else? Are you done? Are you done with me, Danny?
I'm sending an email.
Okay. That means she's done with me. Okay, guys, in the comments, whatever, you can add topics, feel free to shoot me a DM on Instagram as well at Seth Jump Ship. If you have ideas for a show, things you want to hear us talk about, like, subscribe, all that good stuff if you haven't already. Thank you for participating, everyone who's watching. And we'll do another one of these next week at some point. And I'll do another show about probably programming later this week. So we'll see you guys later.